Hey guys, what's up? We are back with some more Reactions After Dark, and we of course going to be watching She Flew for a Modeling Job. They say they sold her organs in Myanmar. The Vera Kavstova case, obviously by Dark Asia with Megan. This is of course day 5, right, of Dark Asia Week. We still have 2 more days after this, hopefully. Again, these will all be recorded in the same day, hopefully. So, I mean, they basically are at this point. It's just, obviously it is draining to now. We're on the 5th video that I've recorded today. But I think I can still stick it out to do the last 2 as well. Then we're just going to get straight into this one. It already sounds like it's going to be an unsolved case, since a lot of her videos, like I've said before, are unsolved cases, so oof if that ends up being the case. Also, of course, disclaimer, violence, abuse, exploitation, traumatic events, potentially. This is all potential stuff that could be showing up, so again, viewer discretion is advised.
Have you ever sacrificed something for your dream? Some people will give up everything for a chance at success. For 26-year-old Vera Kravtsova from Belarus, her dream of becoming a successful artist led her down a path she never could have imagined. She was a promising singer and model who left her home and family for what she believed was her big break. Her family supported her every step of the way, until one day, she vanished. Her last message said she was in Thailand. Then her family received a call that would change everything. Someone told them Vera was dead in Myanmar. The caller demanded money to return her body, but when the family tried to negotiate, they received devastating news. Vera had allegedly been cremated, and her organs sold. So what really happened to Vera? Let's take a look.
Yeah, is it just that cut and dry, or what? I mean, I assume so. Like, how do you get your child back if they've been, cremated and organs sold? Like, you basically have nothing left. They could just be lying, right? Maybe she's just like kidnapped and trafficked. For all they know, maybe she's still alive. I mean, you could argue is that better, knowing that your daughter's out there kidnapped and being trafficked, rather than just being cremated and organs sold? Like, which one's better?
So who is Vera? Vera Kravtsova was born on December 31st, 1998 in Minsk, Belarus. Friends described her as hardworking, kind, and maybe a bit naive. She had a friendly nature and trusted people easily. Born with a passion for the arts, Vera attended music school where she learned to sing and play wind instruments. In 2017, she performed at a local singing competition at the Burlesque Club in Minsk, a show styled after the Voice format, though not part of the official international franchise. Although she didn't achieve major success from that performance, she still made a name for herself and was known by many as a talented and kind young woman. After graduating from university, Vera moved to St. Petersburg, Russia, where she worked as a freelance model. She was ambitious and adventurous. She'd previously traveled to Vietnam, China, and Indonesia, building her modeling portfolio. Her Instagram showed a vibrant young woman with professional photo shoots, tattoos, and big dreams. Her parents were incredibly supportive. Her mother would comment on her posts, calling her the most beautiful girl in all of China. But like many aspiring artists, Vera struggled to break through. She took whatever job she could get, working in cafes and hopping between gigs, always hoping for that one opportunity that would change everything. In September 2025, that opportunity seemed to arrive.
Okay, this is something that happened this year. So it could very well end up being that, yeah, maybe she's still alive.
Vera received an email from someone claiming to be a modeling agency. Dear Vera, we would love to offer a collaboration as a model for our latest collection.
Okay. Dark Asia, you're kind of getting too meta here, because in the last video, I said my idea of what had happened was someone came up to that girl, the woman in red, was like, hey, you're so pretty, you're so beautiful, please come model for our modeling company. Like, we'll have a person call you in a few hours, and they'll come pick you up, take you to the office, and then you can get signed up to come work for us. Yada yada yada. I said that was my assumption of what happened to her in that case. And then here we are, getting, like, literally the next day, getting the, hey, come model for us speech, the spiel. And I'm guessing that got her, and now she's been trafficked or actually is dead.
They promised a luxury brand partnership, a chance to represent their image, and this was exactly what she'd been waiting for.
Also, how do we know that information?
The supposed agent asked her to fly to Thailand for a test shoot. Vera had doubts. Who wouldn't? But the dream of standing on stage as a successful model pushed her forward. So, in September 2025, she left Belarus, promising her family she'd make them proud. On September 12, 2025, Vera arrived at Bangkok's Suvarnabhumi airport. Thai immigration records confirm she entered Thailand alone through the automated checkpoint. For the next 8 days, she remained in Bangkok, and her family kept in contact with her. But here's where things get murky. Thai police have been very clear about one thing. Vera was not kidnapped in Thailand. On September 20th, 2025, at 7:20 a.m., she voluntarily boarded Thai Airways flight TG301 from Bangkok to Yangon, Myanmar.
Is that just a save face for Thailand, or are they telling the truth? Right? Are they just saying that just to be like, hey, no one was kidnapped here, or what? Right?
Security footage shows her passing through the checkpoint alone. Thai authorities say whatever happened to Vera happened after she left their country. So was she deceived into thinking the job was in Myanmar? Did she believe she was meeting contacts there? We don't know. What we do know is that when she arrived in Yangon, everything went wrong. After landing in Myanmar, Vera found herself in the hands of traffickers. Her passport and phone were taken immediately. With no identification and no way to call for help, she was transported to one of the notorious scam compounds near the Myanmar-Thailand border. These aren't small operations. They're massive criminal enterprises run by Chinese crime syndicates working with local militias. Vera had been sold. Trafficked victims are worth between $14,000 and $20,000 to these operations. The compound where Vera allegedly ended up was nothing like the modeling agency she'd been promised. These places are essentially modern-day slavery camps. So imagine sprawling complexes with hundreds of buildings surrounded by fences, watchtowers, and armed guards. From the outside, they look almost like business parks. Inside, it's hell. Workers are forced to operate 16.
What the heck is a business park? Question mark. It's like whatever this business, like quote unquote business park is supposed to be, is covered in barbed wire and security cameras and armed guards. Like what? What the heck is a business park? To be like, oh yeah, that's just a business park. Hey, what do you mean?
16 to 20 hours a day running online scams. The rooms are barely ventilated, with barbed wire over the windows. There's constant surveillance, and the punishments for not meeting quotas are brutal. Beatings with iron rods, electric shocks, starvation, isolation, dark rooms. For Vera, her task was to be pretty, take pictures, and flirt with men on the internet. With her attractive appearance and blonde hair, she was forced to create profiles on dating apps to lure victims. But aside from creating the initial attraction, she was also given a more sinister main task: to manipulate these men into investing in fraudulent cryptocurrency schemes. The investments were far from legitimate, mostly involving fake crypto apps that look convincing but are completely controlled by the scammers. This is essentially what's known as pig butchering. You fatten up the victim with affection and trust, then slaughter them by taking everything they have. Vera herself had to work under immense pressure. If she didn't meet her daily target, often requiring her to extract thousands of dollars from victims, she faced beatings and abuse. But physical violence wasn't the worst consequence. Those who failed repeatedly faced even more severe punishments. They could be sold to another scam center under worse conditions, or worse still, allegedly sold to organ trafficking networks. At first, Vera had limited, heavily monitored access to communication, but any sign she might report what was happening, and that privilege would be cut.
So are we saying that she was sold to the Harvesters Inn because she wasn't doing well, or like she was trying to, you know, let people know that this was going on here? So it feels like this is just something that's allowed to happen if they have this huge complex with, you know, cameras and barbed wire and walls and armed guards. Like it's pretty obvious that this place is there, especially assuming that the picture we saw earlier was the exact place that we're talking about. Then it's kind of just like, oh yeah, that's where that bad stuff happens, but we can't be asked to go and clean it out because it's not worth the casualties? Question mark. It's not worth the heat with these gangs? Question mark. These criminals, these big criminal organizations, right? So they're just allowed to exist. It feels like at that point, if they're just you just have this massive land with buildings on it, and they're just not doing anything about it. The government's not doing anything about it.
On October 4th, 2025, all contact with Vera stopped. Her family heard nothing for weeks. Then came the ransom demand, $500,000 to get Vera back alive, or, according to other reports, to return her body, as she was already dead. Her family was devastated. They tried desperately to raise the money but couldn't gather such an enormous sum. They reached out to embassies seeking help through diplomatic channels. They attempted to negotiate. And that is when the captors delivered their final message. Vera was dead. They claimed her organs had been sold and her body cremated. There was nothing left to return. But here's the critical detail. These claims have never been officially verified. The Belarusian Foreign Ministry states that Vera is listed as missing, not confirmed dead. Some experts believe the death claims could be an extortion tactic. By
Sure.
telling the family she's already dead and cremated, the criminals eliminate hope of rescue while potentially extracting money for supposed information, or remains. But here it's important to note that ransom releases do happen. Just months before her case, a Chinese man named Huang was freed after his family paid $48,000, and a Taiwanese dancer was released for $30,000. So there are cases where paying the ransom brings people home safely. However, if the reports are true, Vera's situation is heartbreaking because her family simply couldn't raise the $500,000 being demanded, which is significantly higher. In these operations, when victims can't generate profit through scams and families are unable to pay, the captors face a grim calculation.
Yeah, like, are we saying that what they're assuming her organs are worth more or near $500,000? And thus, because they couldn't get the $500,000, you're like, oh, we might as well just sell the organs then? Kill her and sell the organs? Question mark?
Keeping someone alive costs money, while, and this is difficult to say, organs have significant value on the black market. The captors claim that she's already dead and cremated is particularly troubling because it suggests they've moved past the ransom phase entirely, either because they gave up on payment or because there's nothing left to ransom. Officially, the Belarusian government still lists Vera as missing, not deceased, and without physical evidence, we cannot say with absolute certainty what happened to her. But given the 3-week silence since October 4th, the specific nature of the captors' claims, and what we know about how these compounds operate, there is sadly a high probability that
October 4th. This was 11 days ago, so this was Halloween? Question mark? This video was like roughly posted around Halloween, maybe the day before that? And it's happened in 2025, so she said since the 4th, so it depends on like when she recorded this video, if anything has happened since then.
Vera did not survive. Her family continues to search for answers, and we can only hope that somehow there might still be a chance she's alive. To understand what happened to Vera, you need to understand the massive criminal infrastructure she allegedly became trapped in. The Myanmar-Thailand border region has become notorious for these scam compounds in recent years. These aren't just buildings, they are small cities complete with banks, hospitals, restaurants, and housing for operators. But behind the walls and armed guards, tens of thousands of people are forced to work as modern slaves. According to the Australian Strategic Policy Institute, the number of scam centers along the Thai-Myanmar border has exploded from 11 compounds in 2021 to at least 27 today. That is a 145% increase in just 4 years, following Myanmar's military coup in February 2021. These
It's kind of like, how are they being built? I feel like you would need a government. And I feel like a big criminal organization wouldn't be enough to do this. It just feels like the government's doing this, right? Because how do you build a city out of nothing, right? Unless you have government level money to spend on doing this, creating buildings, new buildings, construction, getting construction workers out there and doing that kind of stuff, and finding the people to be slaves. I was like, what? Like, who could be doing this other than the government? I feel like no criminal organization could be doing this, because the amount of money you would need is just too much. You could say like, oh, like the big, crazy, hidden criminals or whatever. I forget what we would call them, but you know what I mean. Like the people who are supposed to be, who we don't know about, that are supposed to be controlling the world. Like they could do something like this or whatever. But I don't know. This just seems crazy to be able to just build a city and they keep expanding on the city, and it's just a slave city.
compounds have been expanding at an average rate of 5.5 hectares, about 13.5 acres, every single month. Why the explosion? After the coup, Myanmar's military junta needed money and militia loyalty. With natural resources declining and foreign investment fleeing due to sanctions, they allow these criminal operations to flourish. The scam industry
That is what I was saying earlier. Like, there's no way these things are just happening unless it's the government themselves letting them happen.
has become what experts call an existential lifeline for the regime. One of the most notorious is KK Park, spanning 210 hectares, which is about 520 acres. It looks like a tech campus from above, but it's actually one of the world's largest fraud factories. Just recently, on October 20th to 21st, 2025, Myanmar's military raided KK Park and arrested 2,198
Okay.
people. They also seized 30 Starlink satellite internet terminals. Those Starlink systems are crucial. After Thailand cut power and internet border areas in February 2025, trying to shut down the compounds, the criminals just switched to satellite internet. Starlink, owned by Elon Musk's SpaceX, isn't even officially licensed in Myanmar, but hundreds of terminals have been smuggled across the border. For several months in 2025, Starlink actually became Myanmar's biggest internet provider, not because of legitimate users, but because of those criminal operations. And the scale is staggering. The United Nations estimates over 200,000 people have been trafficked into these operations across Southeast Asia. Myanmar alone holds between 100,000 and 120,000 people in these conditions. They come from over 60 countries: China, Vietnam, Philippines, India, Malaysia, Indonesia, Thailand, and even African nations like Ethiopia, Kenya, and Uganda. The UN estimates these operations generate tens of billions of dollars annually. And of course, Vera isn't the only recent victim. Just months before her case, a 19-year-old Chinese man named Huang became international news. In October 2024, Huang
Is this the guy that she said earlier that was released for ransom?
met a 17-year-old girl named Zhou at a billiards hall in Guangzhou. He fell hard for her. Zhou claimed her family had investment businesses in Myanmar and convinced Huang to travel to Bangkok with her in February 2025. On February 2nd, at the Thai-Myanmar border, Zhou sold Huang to a scam compound for 100,000 yuan, which is about $14,000. Armed men confiscated his passport and phone, but Huang managed a quick move. He begged Zhou to let him use his phone briefly, and she agreed. In those precious seconds, he sent a message to his family: "Help me, they're taking me, Myanmar." Huang was taken to a compound called Kaixuan. His head was shaved, and he was forced to work 16 to 20 hours daily on phone scams. When he failed to meet targets, and he failed often, having no experience in fraud, he was beaten brutally. He was hit with iron rods and slapped so hard, he permanently lost his hearing. He lost over 10 kilograms.
Oof. Like actually just losing your hearing from this too? Wow. So 16 to 20 hours a day, so basically almost no sleep if you're even given that, because you need to eat, right? If he's even being allowed to eat. So like basically almost no time spent asleep, if that's the case. I'm assuming this is the guy who got out, so I guess at least luckily he got out, but you know, at what cost, right? Permanent PTSD, you can't hear anymore. Hopefully he can hear in one ear. Maybe, hopefully not both of his ears are broken. Hopefully it's just one of them, so he can still hear something. But, oof.
The torture lasted 4 months. Finally, with the help from the Chaoshan Chamber of Commerce in Myanmar, his family negotiated his release for 350,000 yuan, about $48,000. According to the scammers, he was underperforming, so they were willing to let him go. Huang returned to China at the end of June 2025, physically and psychologically scarred. His girlfriend, Zhou, was arrested and now faces up to 10 years in prison for human trafficking.
Okay, well, good. Because you kind of can miss that part of like hearing what's going on there. It's like, no, the girlfriend that he thought was like his girlfriend was just scamming him to sell him off in the trafficking. So she is a human trafficker, so good. 10 years is not that long of a time, but I guess it's a decade, so hopefully that decade goes through.
In February 2025, following pressure from China after several high-profile cases, a massive rescue operation took place. Thailand cut power, internet, and gas to 5 border towns in Myanmar. The Karen Border Guard Force, a militia controlling the Myawaddy region, allowed people to leave the compounds. Over 7,000 people from more than 29 countries were evacuated. But rescued is too generous a word for what happened next. These 7,000 people ended up trapped again, this time in overcrowded temporary camps. The conditions were appalling. In one facility, 800 people shared just 10 toilets. In another, 450 people shared only 2 toilets while sleeping on concrete floors. They received small portions of food twice a day. Medical care was almost non-existent. But getting home proved incredibly difficult. These people came from dozens of countries, and not all governments were willing or able to help. Of the first 260 people released, 130 were from Ethiopia, which doesn't even have an embassy in Bangkok. Some African countries said they'd only arrange flights if someone else paid. Of 4,800 Chinese citizens identified, only 600 were repatriated in the first weeks. Vietnamese citizens faced an additional heartbreak. According to Radio Free Asia, approximately 215 Vietnamese remained stranded months later, with their embassy requiring them to pay between $385 to $575 for repatriation, money they didn't even have after months of forced labor.
Okay, like I'm trying to understand what's being said there. Vietnam is saying, hey, if you want to come back here, you gotta pay like $400. No, even though you were the one who was kidnapped and forced to be a slave, you need to pay $400 to be for us to come get you? Question mark? Or something like that? Like, really? What the heck?
By May 2025, hundreds still remained in these camps. 3 months after being rescued, they were still trapped, uncertain when they'd go home. Satellite imagery from August and September 2025 shows construction continuing at KK Park and other compounds despite raids and international pressure. New buildings are going up. When pressure increases in one area, operations simply move deeper into Myanmar or relocate to areas under different militia control. So it's basically a game of whack-a-mole. The sophistication keeps increasing too. These operations now use artificial intelligence to generate personalized scam scripts. They create deepfake videos. They operate fake cryptocurrency platforms that look remarkably professional. They study psychology and track everything in spreadsheets. Which approaches work best? Which nationalities are more susceptible? How long to maintain contact before pitching the investment? So if you or someone you know gets trapped, contact your embassy immediately. Organizations like Active Mercy International and Justice for Myanmar work on these cases. Try to note your location, compound name, and people in charge. For Vera Kravtsova specifically, her family continues searching for answers. The Belarusian Foreign Ministry confirms they're working with authorities in Thailand and Myanmar, coordinating with honorary consulates in Yangon and Bangkok. But without a body, without ashes, without physical evidence, it's impossible to say what really happened after October 4th, 2025.
Yeah, again, like I said at the beginning, because I kind of already assumed this might be something like how it would play out, is that hopefully she is still alive and is just still being used for scams, question mark, and they can go get her, since this is something that did just happen like a month ago.
These questions haunt her parents and friends. They post tributes on her social media, remembering her smile, her dreams, her kindness. They refuse to give up hope entirely, yet they grieve without closure. The uncertainty may be worse than knowing. At least certainty allows mourning and healing. Vera's case has opened many eyes to the scale of human trafficking in Southeast Asia. Her story represents thousands of similar stories that never make the news. For every Vera whose case goes viral, countless others vanish in silence. Each statistic represents a human being, someone's daughter, someone's son, friend, someone with dreams and vulnerabilities who believed they were making a smart career move, only to find themselves trapped in unimaginable circumstances. Solving this requires action on every level. Tech companies must take responsibility for platforms used to recruit victims. Governments must prioritize victim repatriation and make it free for trafficking survivors. International cooperation must improve. This needs coordinated multinational pressure, not fragmented individual efforts. In this day and age, when job opportunities remain scarce and young people face uncertain futures, we can only be careful and thorough. Do your research.
Yeah, again, like the fact that you have to pay to come back. We're saying like we're using the word repatriatization, something like that. Is that because you are no longer a citizen? Question mark. If you've spent time out of the place for too long? Question mark. Or what? Like, what does that mean? Let me look it up. Kind of just seems like it's just the word for someone returning to their own country. So it's like, really? So you're charging them that much money from after being kidnapped just to come back? Like, what do you mean? Hello?
Research before accepting opportunities. Talk to your family and friends about these risks. Make sure everything is verified as safe and legitimate. If a promise seems too good to be true, it probably isn't real. Our hearts go out to Vera and every victim of human trafficking. We hope justice will be served. We hope international pressure and growing awareness can eventually dismantle these operations. We hope no other family has to endure the agony of not knowing if their loved one is alive or dead. So what do you think about this case? Have you encountered fake job vacancies that seem too good to be true? Have you heard about human trafficking in your area? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your story could save someone else from the same trap. That's all for today. Thanks for watching.
And that, of course, was that video, though again, we can only hope that she is still alive somewhere, just being forced to scam, nothing too crazy, just in one of these scamming compounds, and hopefully she has not been sold for her organs, question mark, and is still alive out there somewhere, and her family will go get her, yada yada yada, because again, this is only a month ago, so anything could happen, within the next few months, years, etc., etc. So again, you can only hope. Though, like I said, the repatriation thing, like, that's so dumb that that's even a thing. Like, come get your people. Hello? Like, what do you mean? Like, what money are they going to have after being a slave for all that time? Given the fact that these things are just allowed to exist, kind of. It seems like sometimes they'll go deal with them, but it's just the place needs the money, so they're like, we can't like waste resources dealing with them too much. I don't know. They're kind of using them as like a necessary evil, which I don't think is good. I mean, obviously it's not good, but you know what I mean. It's just crazy. Like, where are they getting the monies to just build these buildings? Like, where's all this money? They're saying they're making billions a year, but I don't know. Like, really? Are they really making that much money? And then spending those billions to make buildings to expand to make more money? I don't know. It just seemed like it's not a possibility, but maybe it is just like easier than I think it is. Hey guys, thanks for watching. Remember to buy my stickers, and then becoming a member, subscribe if you haven't subscribed, so we can watch them and subscribers, and if we have thrown now as well. And shout out to the members, EmmyStarr, RaleyDrew, and alexgkiller 880. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Tune to the next episode. Like, subscribe, comment. Another do. See ya.